Hello Buffalo, this is Robert with Pronunciator, and in this webinar I'm going to cover our ProCitizen feature, show you how it works. ProCitizen is a citizenship preparation course that is specifically designed for new Americans to prepare for the USCIS naturalization test. So we cover each of the 100 questions on that test, and we have instructional videos for each of those questions that are available in both English and Spanish. So what I'll do is I'll show you how we access ProCitizen. Now there is a direct link that you could have on your website that goes directly to ProCitizen without needing to do what I'm going to do right now. But I'll just give you the usual way we would access ProCitizen by just entering Pronunciator. So the first thing to know is that the ProCitizen course is available only within the American English learning language. So if you're going to study ProCitizen, you've got to select American English as the course. And that is, you can select any interface language that you like, and there are currently about 68, I believe. And you could, you'll see the ProCitizen course through that language, with that language as the narration, not as the narration language, but as the interface menu navigation option. But I'll show you how it looks for a Spanish speaker in a few minutes. But first I'll just access through English as our interface language, and again American English as our learning language. Just FYI, there's also a Canadian ProCitizen course. So if any patrons are planning to move to Canada, there's a ProCitizen course for them as well for Canada. Anyway, I'm only going to show you the American US ProCitizen here. So once we're in the American English course on this selection menu, we go under Learning Guides and More. And as you see, the first option is ProCitizen US Citizenship Preparation. Now when I click this, it's going to bring me back to where I last left off. So this is not what you'll typically see when you first access it.
How many U.S. senators are there?
So again, this brought me back to where I last left off, which was under see the level names are here. I accessed it by clicking on this down arrow. And I was in the system of government level, and I was on question 18, as we see up here, under the units menu. So for every level, we have different units. And in the case of ProCitizen, each unit corresponds to one question on that 100-question USCIS naturalization test. But normally, when I would access as a first-time user, what I would see would be the introduction. And this is just an introductory video that just talks about ProCitizen, gives a brief overview of the resource. So let's just say I'm doing this question 18 of System of Government. Typically what we'll see, the first thing we'll see, is a multiple choice question about with an answer to that question. So this is not scored. It's really just to get an idea of whether you already know the answer. See, if I get it wrong, it'll just do that. I won't be penalized. It'll just indicate that I'm wrong.
There are 100 members in the U.S. Senate.
So I can repeat the question again, I could play the answer again, or I could just move on to the next step, which is the instructional video. And we could play this full screen, and as you see, it has built-in closed captioning.
How many U.S. senators are there? There are 100 members in the U.S. Senate. There are 2 members from each state. Senators represent all people of the state. Senators are elected every 6 years.
So typically the video will be 1 minute to 2 minutes long. I mentioned closed captioning. I'm not sure why it's not appearing here, but we have closed captioning for each of the videos. It should be appearing anyway. And here's the transcript of this. So the idea here is that you learn the context for the answer. It's not just about memorizing the correct answer, but knowing some background about why that answer is the answer. So once we do that, we can move on to the next step, which is a spelling quiz.
There are 100 members in the U.S. Senate.
And here is a hangman type activity. And if we get a letter wrong, it'll deduct a proportionate number of points. And if I get it right,
there are 100 members in the U.S. Senate.
And so, you see, so I got an 86 on that one. And then the next step will be the writing drill or dictation.
There are 100 members in the U.S. Senate.
So I'll misspell this. Let's see. So as you see, I misspelled Senate, and it shows me what the correct spelling is there. And then this is a drill. It shows a score, but it's not saving the score. And I can then proceed to the writing drill quiz, and we'll do the same thing. But in that case, you won't be able to correct yourself, and it'll save the score. And then there's also voice comparison, where it's optional. You could use it to just speak the answer out loud. So there's a variety of ways to learn and reinforce what the correct answer is to the question. So if I wanted to see my scores, if I were actually tracking this and just completing this as a course, up on the upper right here, there is a little graph icon called My Stats, and I can open that, and it'll load my scores for this particular level. So as you see, I've done this before. I have System of Government is the level, and this shows me the quizzes, and I can just mouse over and see my scores. And then low scores are in red. So for example, I could just quickly see that. And I could click any of these things to retake that quiz again if I want. And this will show me areas for improvement, in my case spelling and writing. And we can also export these scores to PDF if we want to save them. And I forgot to mention, you could also, I'll go back in there. So that was for this level. We could also see stats for the entire course. So it'll load stats for all levels of this particular course. And all quizzes, it'll sum, you see question 13, 14. It'll just go through all the different levels. And then, sorry, that was stats for this level. Stats for this course are here summarized. So there we have that. So, and then in addition to these, what we call civics levels, we also have vocabulary for the reading test, the reading part of the test, and vocabulary for the writing parts of the test. Now, all this material is derived directly from training materials that are designed by the USCIS to prepare people for this test. So we basically have added value, repackaged it, add audio, etc., and put all these activities to it. So it's authoritative information that we're using. So like vocabulary for the reading test comes from their suggested vocabulary.
Abraham Lincoln.
So as you see, this is just one of the so-called vocabulary words that they wanted you to know. So we include that, and that's notice under people, and then there's vocabulary for civics, for places, for holidays, let's say places.
America. United States.
As you see,
U.S.
these are all, again, from the preparation materials. So what I'll do now is, and again, I can just, remember, I can bounce over to another level, let's say rights and responsibilities. And in some cases, we don't have the multiple choice question. We go right into the video, just because the question or answer don't lend themselves well to a multiple choice treatment. So as you see, this is one of the cases here. We go right into the video. So what I'll do now is I'll click on the home button and show you what it looks like for example, a Spanish speaker. Let's choose Spanish as my interface language. I'll select once again US English as my learning, and under this this green button I'll see here. So what will appear here is both ProCitizen in English, just like we saw before, and ProCitizen in Spanish. So if I click there, it'll show me this video. I mean, this is again where I last left off personally. I happen to be in this principles of democracy. I was on the first question, and I actually had done the first question, so it just skipped over it.
¿Cuál es la ley suprema de la nación?
It went right to the video. So here we have, you notice we have a Spanish narrator. We have the questions in Spanish. So of course, on the citizenship test that is administered by the USCIS, it's not in Spanish, but we thought it would be helpful, just because of the large number of Spanish-speaking people who will be taking the test, that we would have the civics presented to them in Spanish, just so they have a leg up, and then could do the English course after they fully understand the civics concepts in Spanish. So, and once again, the video here is going to be, I'll just jump ahead here, it's going to be in Spanish as well.
Y suprema de la nación. La Constitución es la ley suprema de la nación. Después de la Guerra de la Independencia, el país necesitaba nuevas reglas. Los padres fundadores se reunieron en la Convención Constitucional de Filadelfia. La Constitución fue escrita en...
So as you see, it's all narrated in Spanish, and there's closed captioning as well.
el año 1787. 9 estados tuvieron que aprobar la Constitución.
So that, in a nutshell, now what I'll do is I'll show it to you from another interface language. So we have the Spanish version, we have the English version, and apart from when you're in the Spanish interface, what you're going to see is only the English version. So let's choose Korean as my interface language. So here I'll find US English as the course. I'll go under here, and here we have ProCitizen, US Citizenship Preparation.
What are the two major political parties in the United States?
And so, as you see here, we have some menu options. Everything's in Korean, apart from these, the level names and the actual text, which is all in English. So again, it's really geared for people to, it assumes people know English well enough to be taking this test, and it'll prepare them for it in their chosen interface language, but it's not going to be translating these things to that language. So, to promote the ProCitizen, we have a ProCitizen flyer, which I'll just show you. I think you do have some already, but I just want to show you how to get some more. I went under PrinceTheater.com/shop, and here we have the ProCitizen flyer. It's two-sided. On the front, on one side is English, on the other side is Spanish. So you can order as many of these as you like, and they're free of charge with free shipping. So that pretty much sums up ProCitizen. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to write support@pronunciator.com. I will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you for watching. Bye.